Hey everybody, so I spent some time staring at the sun today and didn't hurt a bit. I don't know what they're talking about. My name is Doug, this is Astro AF. So I decided to do some solar photography, and this is a new area to me. I've done some white light before, but I hadn't ever done any H-alpha, and anyway, I kind of jumped into it, and I thought I would kind of share my bit of a little journey here with you, because I'm just learning, and I had some decent results just on my first try, and I'll put those up here at the end. But I just want to go over the rig with you a little bit. I'll talk more about the scope and stuff here in a bit, but I'll show you around. So basically what I'm doing is I've got it running piggyback on top of the edge here, and that's there's a few reasons for that. One, I didn't have to buy the whole mount and rig and stuff like that to support it, and this actually works excellent. I can't complain at all. It's easy to take on and off. I've got it mounted via a clamp there that I can just remove it and put it back on real quick, and then it shares the plug from my power box and interface into the, well, basically it's basically interfacing USB into the power box and power from the power box. So that makes it just really simple, not having to have a full dedicated rig for the solar. I can put it on and off and just use the same rig. So convenience and cost, and it works. I'm pretty happy with it. So let me show you up a little bit closer. So yeah, this is the DayStar DS60 Scout, and I currently have my 533 running on it, which is okay. I'm going to actually put a mono on it tomorrow and give it a shot. A helical focuser, it's 60 millimeters, and this is the Etalon, and this is how you tune the Etalon for getting on and off band. I'm learning about this. This is pretty sensitive. The way that this tunes the Etalon is to heat it to a certain temperature, and I'll have to read more about it, and I'll let you know here a little bit later in the video. And then I just have a standard visual back here that I have the camera connected to. Inside here I've got an SVBONY UV cut filter, and that helps clean the image up. Without the UV I discovered it was pretty kind of soft, and I got better focus with the UV and so that really made a difference. And then, you know, I've shown these before. I use these little LeftFoto clamps. They're inexpensive clamps on my ADM bar, and it just takes a little rubber spline shim that I super glue in on one of the clamps there, and they fit perfect and they work really well. And as opposed to $60 for an ADM clamp, these are 18 or 19 bucks, and like these two back here, I've had them on here for over a year. They work awesome. And then one of my favorite little things about this is this little solar finder here, and it's just analog, and when the sunlight shines through there, there'll be a little white dot that allows you to get lined up, and that works excellent. Yeah, so yesterday I ended up just kind of showing a walkthrough on this, and I decided that rather than go right into going through the scope inside, I was going to do another session, because I wanted to kind of show you the setup, and then I want to do another capture with you. And yesterday I used the 533, and I want to try out the Player One Mars 662M today, and so that I thought that would give me a chance to do that, plus show you the setup, and then we can go in and actually do the alignment and set up and do a capture, and then I can kind of do a brief overview of my post-processing work. This is real simple. As I mentioned, I use these LeftFotos. I got a link for these down in the description, and they're just a really nice, well-built clamp, and that'll slide right onto my ADM rail as such, and I can just tighten that down, and that is very secure. And then I'm going to do a quick cleaning here Try and stay out of the way. Just a little bit of dust I wanted to blow out. From being outside yesterday. And then what I want to do is I'm going to switch the cameras here. So I've got the player one down here, and I should be able to just do a swap on this. It already has a nose piece in, but I do need to switch the filter. So I'm going to just put it back in here temporarily. And let me bring you around for this part. So yeah, so I'm going to remove the 533 here for a moment. I'll pull that out. And then in the end of that, I've got the SVBONY UV IR cut filter. And it has done a really nice job. I took some images before I put the filter in, and they were kind of soft. And then I put the filter in, and I noticed it had a noticeable difference in the sharpness of the detail. So having a UV IR in front, and this little 1.25 is cute. It works really well. And then I'm going to take the P1. So this is a Player One Mars 662M. We'll take it off, and I'm going to install that filter into the end of this, but I think before I do, just make sure there's no dust in there. Make sure the filter's clean. And we just screw that in right into the end of the nose pieces the way that I'm doing it. And that'll slide right in. Let's get it oriented like so. And we can tighten that up. Okay then, so I've got power to this telescope here to power the Etalon heater. And so I'll plug that in now first so that it can start heating up. I thought my tuning was pretty good yesterday, so I think I'm going to leave it there for now. I'll take a look at it again. You really have to rely on what you're capturing to determine your Etalon tuning. And then we won't need power for this camera, but we do need the USB. So I'm just going to plug that USB in here. This camera is powered through the USB. Okay, and so that's heating up now. I've got the lens cap uncovered. We'll let this warm up for about 10 minutes, and I'll come back out here and we will go ahead and get on. I'll go ahead and get on the sun right now. And when we come back out, we'll get lined up and get in focus. I don't have a automatic focuser on this right now, so I'm doing manual focus, which is fun. We're gonna have to put the sweatshirt hood over the top so I can see the computer. It kind of is a drag, but you have to do it so you can see your computer screen. And then we'll take a look at this little alignment, which is this thing works great. And it's just analog. When you're lined up on the sun, you get a little white dot back here on the crosshairs. It works great.
Tracking on. Pier West. Slewing complete.
Okay, so it's pretty hot out here, and it's going to get hotter in a minute because I'm going to have to get underneath this sweatshirt to see my computer screen. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to get aligned. And so right now I can see the sun's in this reticle, but it's not in my field of view yet. So you got to get it centered right on that. So I'm going to slew the scope to get this white dot, if you can see it, right into the center of that reticle. And so I'll pull up my mount control for this, and let's get that centered. So I'm just going to slew and watch this right here. All right, I don't know if you can see it, but I've started getting the sun here, and so I can start working with that. Let's get out of the sun now. All right, so I'm going to get underneath the cover here. It's kind of ridiculous. I get myself to where I can reach over to the focuser, and this is mainly so I can see my computer screen. And it's really a necessity. And then I'm just going to feel for the focus. Well, let's see if we can dial this in here. That looks like it's going out. Now I'm on this basically quarter of the disc because there's some activity here. Let me get in focus. Let's make a big move. Yeah. And this is just, it takes what it takes here. We'll keep messing with this and try and find best focus. I may end up back out here tweaking this, but we'll see. I'm really looking for surface detail and also at these sunspots as guides for focusing. And I think the surface detail might actually be a little easier than the sunspots, but to figure out if we're getting detail. So I just adjusted my exposure length up just a little bit. I'm getting about 19 frames per second at full ROI. I was only getting about 4.5 frames per second with the 533 at full ROI. So, but obviously on this camera, I don't get the full disc, which is what I was going for yesterday. Okay, I think that's about as good as I can get it for right now. I'm going to go look at it up in the shade and see where we're at. I wanted to show you that there's some prominences here. And so I'm going to bump up the histogram. So as you can see, we've got a little bit of activity over here. And I'll bump this histogram up. So what I might want to do is adjust my framing here just a little bit. So then I can back this down a little bit. Or I might just leave it there. I'll just turn it off. Then I can switch it back on. And so I think from here I can go ahead and maybe start a capture. So at 19 frames per second or 20, I can probably do about 5,000 frames. I want to keep this, let's see, at 20 seconds. So yeah, so we'll do about, I want to keep this under 4 minutes for the rotation of the sun. And so we'll do about 4,800 or 5,000. Let's see, on quick capture. We'll just go 5,000. That should be okay. And we'll go ahead and let that run out. All right, so while that's running, I thought maybe I'd just kind of do a quick run through of my camera settings. So I'm recording in SUR file format, and I've got my max ROI right now. And if you look down the bottom left here, we're running at, it's slow because of the full ROI, but this is the frame I'm looking for, so it is what it is. So about 19 frames per second. So this camera will do up to 120, but you need to tighten the ROI down quite a bit to get to those frame rates. And in this case, I don't want that. Mono 8 is definitely sufficient for solar and planetary. So I'm running mono 8 in this, and that also helps it run a little bit faster. And binning is 1. One thing I didn't check earlier, I should check and make sure that that is still the same. But my USB speed, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, it's set at 100, so that's as fast as, that'll actually help the frame rate there if you make sure that's maxed up. You can notice I'm looking at about 75% on my histogram, which is kind of where I want to be. And then back up here, I've got exposure 0.235 milliseconds. And my gain, I'm running pretty high at 486. And then everything else is pretty much just a result of that. So I'm monitoring this histogram. I do have this set up so that I can flip back and forth. You can see these proms here. So that's pretty cool. I wasn't seeing these with the 533 yesterday. So, and this is with my actual exposure that I'm capturing. We're about halfway through now, a little over halfway. We're just hit 3,000 frames. So this will be done in just a minute, and then we'll go in and we'll stack this and see what we got. Okay, so 5,000 frames finished, and now I'm going to go over into AstroSurface, and I'll pull that up. And I'm going to open that SUR file that we just captured. That's yesterday's data. So today on the sun, we took this video, open that. Okay, so I'll run through my settings here. Fits image. Default, top down, just staying with defaults. We're on monochrome here. Okay, so I think since we're not on a full disk here, I'm going to have to do an ROI. Can we get the edge? Let's make sure it's happy with it. Okay, it likes that. Okay, we got our graph results, and so basically what I'm looking at here is I want to take the best 25% here to begin with, and then I'm going to carve off the bottom here to get to the best 10%. We're basically working with images that are in this top left quadrant, are the images that are going to be stacked. So 10.5 is close enough. So this little quadrant up here is the best 10% of the entire range. So we'll take that and click OK. And then over here, I'm just running global with median stacking, and they're going to use the same output image size as video. And we don't need to align RGB here because we're in mono, and we're going to output to a fit file. And so let's go ahead and stack that. Okay, so we got our result. I can have a quick look and see. So I think it's soft, obviously, but now we got to go over and do some post-processing. We're going to sharpen this, and so we're going to move over to ImPPG and do the processing. I don't do anything else, so right now I'm just going to take this raw image over there. So we'll go ahead and close out. All right, and let's open up. All right, kind of move this out of the way. So this is going to be our area of preview, and I think let's go do this area right here, because maybe these proms will come in. Well, now let's actually, I think that was a pretty good one. Let's do this. All right, and so yeah, I've got the Sigma. We can kind of look inside this box and then out to see what things are looking. So let's take that up and let's do some deconvolution on this to sharpen it. Okay, you can kind of see now. So now we're getting this detail. That looks a lot better than out here. This is a great tool. I'm going to go a little bit higher. 5.9. I think that looks really good right there. And then let's take a look at our unsharp masking, and so we'll bump this up a little bit. I want to be careful here, not too much, but we can get some final detail out of this, and then how much we want to put into it. Okay, you see how much sharper that got there? So getting lots of detail. I like it. So now I want to take that. I'm going to pull this over here, and we'll work with our histogram. I'm going to pull this over. We don't need it inside that area. We can see, so we're kind of darkening that up. I don't want to clip, but let's go right over here to that edge. And then I'm going to push in this area up. And we're going to start bringing those proms out. That's pretty good, huh? Oh, look at that. Yeah, let's get back in this area. And we're really pushing that. That's cool. All right, let's see what happens here. We'll mess around. Don't want to blow it out. Okay, so we're really in the disk surface area, so we can kind of keep that tame. What's this going to do for us here? Bring that up a little bit. We can probably just pull this down. It's not going to do anything. We don't have any signal in that area. Yeah, there's nothing going on there. There's a little bit there, so I'm going to keep that pushed up. Till I like it. Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and I think we can go ahead and run that. And so in here, let's see, where is it? Is it settings? Select and process all. I think then we'll be able to see what this has done overall. Okay, I'm glad I did that. Yeah, we blew it out here. So let's see. Maybe I'll reset that. Yeah, I'm glad we checked that. So here, definitely don't want to blow that out. Here where we're getting those proms. So I think we want to, I do want to get some glow outside there too. You see that on the outside edges where it's glowing? I don't want to blow it out, but I want to increase that glow because I think that looks really nice. Maybe kind of like that. I think we blew it out here last time, so we clipped it for sure. We'll try and balance that out to the edge. And really, I'm just fiddling and watching what happens here. So, and trying to find the right balance and detail. And I'm kind of working. So the way that this seems to work is, you know, on these higher levels here, we're working more towards the inside of this disc because it's brighter there. So if I pull down, you can see I want that detail without blowing it out. So we'll find that happy medium in here somewhere. You know, and if things go south, we can always reset and try again. Yeah, having that kind of bright halo around that outside, I kind of like that. So we'll push that one to that top right there. And then out here on these proms, kind of glow out. That's kind of cool. Let's back this one down just a little bit. Because we're losing detail on the limb. Let's find that happy medium right in there. Yeah, there we go. And then we can pull that up. Let's check this one. And make sure we get that detail. Working with these two right here, because I want that detail going out to the limb without blowing it out. So we'll have a look at this in Photoshop here. So maybe, is it overexposed? I'm not sure. We're going to have to mess with it. So I'm not going to go through the whole processing right now in Photoshop, but I will mess with this. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to present my image from yesterday. But look for this image as it comes out. I'll put it in my community posts area, and so I can show you what I ended up with here. This looks really cool. It's just going to take some time, and I don't have time during the recording of this video to go through the entire processing. But the rest of the work that'll be here is going to be in Photoshop. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I am obviously learning. This is my first light with H-alpha, and I'm just hoping to share this journey with you. And like other videos that help me, I hope this one helps you in some way. But to end up with here, I would like to do a quick run through of the DayStar DS60 Scout, and also let you know this is not a DayStar review of this scope. I purchased this scope used on cloudy nights, and you know, because I wanted to get into solar and experiment with this, but have it an H-alpha scope in order to do that with. And so anyway, if we take a quick run through, let me show you about the scope. So starting right up front here, we've got an objective lens. It's a 60 millimeter aperture refractor, purpose-built for solar only. So that's the only thing that this scope is good for, and for H-alpha. And right behind that, this whole assembly here of this tube is the helical focuser. And this is what I use to get my camera or eyepiece sharp. You may have noticed during my session that the surface still seemed a little soft. So, and that's because of our environmental and atmospheric conditions. And that's exactly the reason why we use Lucky Imaging to sort out the sharpest frames. As you noticed, I took 5,000 frames, but I only used the best 10% of those. And that's basically Lucky Imaging. So behind that, we've got this little bullet here, which is how we align on the sun. And this is the greatest thing ever invented. And it's got a little dot right up here that the sun comes through. And then on this reticle on the back, then you line up the white circle that you'll see in there from the sun on that reticle, and it'll be in view. It works every time. We also have a thumb screw here. You loosen this to rotate this back assembly so that you can frame and tighten it so that it locks it into position. And then we have the heart of the system back here, which is the Etalon, and this is the H-alpha filter section of the telescope. This H-alpha filter assembly has a tuning adjustment here, the heater. And the heater is critical because the filter's bandpass is extremely narrow and it shifts with temperatures. So by powering the scope and stabilizing this Etalon, you can tune it to exactly the H-alpha wavelength where all that solar surface and prominence detail comes through. And then finally here at the back end, the visual back, and this is where you attach here, as I have my camera, or your diagonal and eyepiece, whatever it is that you'd like to do. And within this, I have a UV IR cut filter that I mentioned earlier, and I found that to be really important. So anyway, yeah, front to back, 60 millimeter objective, helical focuser, rotator, Etalon, with the heater and tuning and visual back. So this is the DS60. It's compact, really small, and this is specialized just for H-alpha imaging. There's a couple different ones. There's another one that's for prominences. And but yeah, this scope is built around one thing, and that's showing you the sun in H-alpha. So next up, I've got a couple images that I wanted to share with you that I had taken. I actually posted them on my community post yesterday, and because at the time of this video I had taken those yesterday. The imaging that I took today, I'll be working on processing, and I'll post that later. So keep an eye on my community post and look for my next image coming up from the DayStar DS60. So with that said, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you for watching and hanging out, supporting my channel. And obviously, if you enjoy this type of content, I would love to have you as a member. You can join. There's a link down below. And I have a members only section over in my Discord, but you can join the Discord whether or not you're a member. And we can talk over there about anything that you'd like to astrophotography. So anyway, thank you very much. My name is Doug. This is Astro AF, and here's my image.